Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Network Radio Show. I am so excited that you are here with me today. Yes, I am Robert W. Jones. I'm the owner and the chairperson of this fabulous network of over 1,600 entrepreneurs in 20 different countries around the globe. We're so excited about that. We started in a little place called Queen Creek, Arizona, in a little cafe called the Rhino Cafe. It started out as Network Together. And people ask me why the name Network Together, because I said it's so much more fabulous networking together than it is to network apart. And so it's the name Network Together. And I just wanted to go through a little bit of housekeeping before we go on with the show today. I'm really excited about we had our book premiere last week, and I have a couple of URLs going across the screen right now. One is mybook.to/Art of Connection 2. Mybook.to/Art of Connection 2. That'll get you straight to our current book that has just come out. It's called The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Inspirational Quotes. It's right here by entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers. So here it is again. And back there is our first book. It's Art of Connection, 365 Days of Networking Quotes by entrepreneurs, business owners, and networkers. So, again, I'm glad you're here with us today. Also, I want to talk about it's time right now to get a page in the book. I'd like everyone to get a page in the book. Right now, we have pages for $97 and for a random page. That means, let fate pick your date. You can be anywhere in the book that you want to. You just don't know where anywhere in the book, or maybe you won't want to. I don't know. Or you can have a reserved date. Don't leave it to fate. It could be a birthday. It could be when you got married. It could be when you started your business. I mean, it could be your first pet or first board. Whatever you want. Pick your own date that is inspiring to you. For our next book, which is coming out, called 365 Days of Transformational Quotes. I also want to remind everyone to go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. And there, what you'll find is you'll find over 1,000 meetings and events per year, academy classes, radio shows, etc., that you can just plug into. And you don't have to be a member. I want to make sure to try us out. It's open to the public, any entrepreneur who just wants to connect and see what we're all about. Again, that's ntevents.net, and you can find us there. So without further ado, I want to bring on my guest today, and that's Miss Jacque Zoccoli. How are you, Jacque?
Great. Couldn't be better.
Oh my goodness. I am glad you're here with me today. And you know what? We are entrepreneurs. We improvise, we overcome, we adapt, we pivot, we change, we cartwheel. We make U-turns, don't we, Jacque?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about the cartwheels. I haven't done that for a few years.
Yeah. At least, or it's like my kids say, well, Dad, you can always pay us to do cartwheels for you. So
exactly. That sounds like your kids.
Oh, but yeah, doesn't it? So I'm going to have your information going across the screen here. I'm excited, Jacque, because we've known each other for quite some time, and I don't know how it happens, but 10 years has passed. We've known each other for a good 10 years, and I remember the first time we met. I believe it was at a restaurant, and Dr. Irene Lebedes, brought us together. And she said, you guys need to connect. And, in certain ways, I feel like you're a part of our family. I feel like, we're joined at the hip in certain ways. And I feel that you are a very trusted advisor for me on many, many things. And I just wanted to thank you for that, for all of the years that we've known each other. And I also, wanted, everyone to know that I acknowledged Jacque in our book, as well, the Art of Connection 365 Days of Inspirational Quotes, because you did such a wonderful job bringing others with you. And I think it goes to show that alliances pay, don't they, Jackie?
Absolutely. And in spades. Yeah,
You, you,
definitely.
and what I want to talk about, when it comes to alliances, is we hear that word a lot, and I really want to start off the show in such a way is, you know, when you try to break out what alliances are, for people who don't understand the meaning of it, what way do you describe being an alliance? Do you use a story? Do you use a definition? Do you use a combination of both? And, if so, if you're speaking to that person, just pretend like you're speaking to me and discuss why alliances are so powerful and why we should work with you to develop the alliances that we have.
Well, to me, alliances are people that are targeting the same audience you have. It's just that simple. And why would you work with people that are targeting the same audience? Because absolutely no one is exactly like anyone else. We are all different. And when you are going to work with someone who is targeting the same audience, when you become remarkable in their world, they remark to your prospects, your prospective target audience. So they become your word of mouth piece. So you need to find those that are of high influence with a big mouth to be able to tell the world how wonderful you are. And the power of that is beyond amazing. People don't, you're right, they don't understand the concept alliance. They think, well, they're going to take my business. Well, they're not going to take your business unless you're both selling jewelry or you're doing something that is so much alike that maybe. But the point is, it's what you can do together to enhance each other's business and provide more for the target audience.
And I always say it's not about competing with each other. It's when it comes to an alliance, it's how can we complete with each other? Because for so many of us, you know, I myself like to think I can, offer everything, but certainly I think as I've gotten more seasoned in my career, I found that it's better to offer as a team and a resource than it is just to be an island of to myself. And I think that that's also what you teach your entrepreneurs, isn't it?
Mhm. Absolutely. And the thing that the bottom line of the whole thing is that people buy your product because of word of mouth. And alliances are what make you word of mouth. And they live in LinkedIn. So that's where I play is I give you intentional networking to the people that you know can be telling the same target audience how wonderful you are. So you're going to train them. You're going to collaborate with them. It's
Well,
word of mouth.
yeah, and in this training, this collaboration, this alliance, so to speak, it does manifest itself whether you're in person or what you and I choose to use mostly is the LinkedIn world. And I think it really goes to show because, in the book, we have 365 pages, and about 300 authors in the book. And, Jackie, you did a good job because I think it's your training, it's your awareness, it's your engagement, it's certainly how you align and, and clarify who you are with others and in understanding roles. And what you've done is you've developed, I think, a very loyal, audience to you, and many people that I did not know, they believed you to the point of trusting to be in a book, and I have not spoken to all of them yet, but they believed your word, you know, and and what was that word that you were saying? Part of it is that you have this foundational relationship with them, but there's also been a belief in this book that you have as well. Tell our viewers, what made this book and the prior book, so special to you to be a part of.
Well, the special thing is that when you can condense your word to the world, it's a test, first of all, to see if you can do that. And it's very eye opening, by the way, and soul searching. So it gets you to succinctly and clearly say the message that you would like to tell the world. And by the way, you only need to do it in one page. And to be a bestseller, to be a best-selling author, give me a break. One page. And the world is going to know about you. And then besides all the other people that are going to be in the book, I've had more people come to me and say, "Well, you were in the book." I went, "Yeah. Well, that's why I read what you said." And somebody just yesterday said, "Boy, I'm putting what you quoted on my phone to see forever." I went, "Really?" I had that big of an impact with what I said. I can't believe I did that.
And it's
And yet
special.
you've only got one page.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
people, they develop a lot of confidence too by writing that one page. In the first book that we had, The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Networking Quotes, there were 122 authors, first time authors, Jackie. And they can claim that now they're authored, now that they're in a bestseller, now that their page in part of this book and a community is international. you know and there's a certain, in the Marines we called it esprit de corps, a kind of a kinship, wouldn't you say, between the
Yeah,
authors of the book. And it's a community that's growing in and of itself, and we do business with each other. We connect, we communicate, we have conversations, and we grow from there, don't we?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's all the people that you don't know, because you and I have, I've been part of your building of this whole thing. And when you bring people in that you don't know, or even those that are in other groups, it's beautiful. It really is, to be able to expand your reach. And if people would do just as I did, to bring in my other areas that are not, I just figured everybody in Entrepreneur Network's already in there, so I'm not even going to talk to them. I'm not even going to talk. So what that forced me to do was to just, everyone that I spoke to on Zoom, it's like, why aren't you in the book? And so, so it worked out really well that way.
And it worked out really well for me as well, because I was really able to create conversations with people in Arizona or Florida or Illinois, New York, California. But then what was really amazing about it is, in certain ways, things became more viral. And then all of a sudden I'm having conversations with people from Australia, India, New Zealand, Ireland, England, the United Arab Emirates. And all of a sudden it went to, this little local business here in Queen Creek, Arizona, to really a global business that is worldwide, where people like you and I can do business worldwide, and we don't have the barriers, of entry to all these different people that we've had before. And I know Zoom is a lot of it, but I always say like this: no matter what you have, you still have to have a shoelace for every athletic shoe. Pretty much, you need something to tie it up. And I think, you know the belief behind helping other entrepreneurs, giving them hope, support, and inspiration, I think that was a part of this book, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's yeah, to give them all kinds of hope. And the other thing, Robert, that you haven't mentioned, and I do it, but most people don't even think about it. Every day that I'm on LinkedIn, and I give a little 5-minute thing on LinkedIn, just about anything, and it was perfect all year long. All I had to do was to go to the quote for the day,
I-
and it gave me feed. It gave me visibility. It gave them visibility. It was that we were working as a team, and many times I didn't even know them. After I finished reading it, I went, "Oh, that was really astute. I need to know that person. That was really kind of cool." So those, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I just wanted to put that in because I think that that is a way of using the book afterwards.
Well, and I think that you did that and more. I found that the people who've taken their quotes and made memes out of them, have bonded stronger with their communities because people are it's creating chatter for them. That chatter creates the conversations that lead to business as well. I found that other networking groups, which is fine, because this is standalone. This is a whole different gift to the world. Utilize that, even in discussions within their groups or their chapters. I've been finding coaches have been using it, and in workshops. I've been finding, others are doing like you are as well, where they're they're finding pieces of that book that they want to share with others, and then they're tagging the other person whose quote they're using, and then all of a sudden they're creating a conversation, one which would have never existed before, because it went from a sales call to really a serving you call. And I think that that's a great foundation that we've had. And now, our community, is growing to such a point in the art of connection. We probably have, about 1,000 people that about over 500 authors, but we also have another 500 you know um, I guess fans, raving fans, that are being a part of this art of connection movement. And I think that that's, the beauty of it. It's people, after these last 2 years and a little bit more, and we're coming in this new normal. Connection probably has been as paramount as we've ever seen it, and both in person and through Zoom. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yeah. See, it's taken. I think I think we have reduced the amount of time, 1.5 to 2 years. I think we have streamlined it because it's the only way that people are going to be able to speak with each other. I mean, it was an alternative that we had to take. We didn't have a choice, really. You can't just sit in your office. It will not work. You can do a website, you can do some other things, maybe Facebook, but it's actually talking face to face. This is critical. It's critical,
And,
really.
and talking face to face, I mean, for you and I, and I feel like especially when I do get on calls with people, in my appointments, there's as much real face to face here as I have in any public area. And that really is, quite important to point out as well. I mean, do I miss the in-person hugs if possible, the high fives, you know all the wonderments about being in the physical, feeling that physical energy? I mean, yeah, I mean, that can't be replaced. But it's like before. We had the phone here and we had the in-person place here, but now we have wonderful mediums that are taking the space in between and providing, a proximity, to each other that we've never utilized before. And I've seen so many people who said, I'll never be in video. I will never be on a video call. I am never going to, utilize these crazy technologies such as Zoom. And you know what? 2 years later, the very people that have said that have turned into the people who probably use it as much as anyone who's in their 20s, aren't they?
Hmm. Absolutely. You either fight it, you either join it or you die. I mean, let's face it, you have to be able to communicate with people. And the thing is, it also has saved me almost years in time. You know me, Robert. You lived in Queen Creek. Well, I was a good half hour from Queen Creek. And
Yeah.
so for me to get anywhere, it took me an hour. Well, you add that at the beginning and the end of a meeting, and you've got 3 hours, you've got half a day taken care of. In that amount of time, I can easily get 5 people in. Easily. So it's like it saved us. It saved me. And I
It,
would rather not go back to the other, to be honest with you, because
yeah.
I get so much more done.
you know I feel like, there's a place for both, but I definitely see such a benefit in being able to meet people quicker and get to conversation and deep meaning faster. you know, and in some of the conversations, yes, they lead me to the point where I want to be, I want to have that handshake. I want to be there in person, but it also really provides a more of a run up of clarity on if I want to get to that point to be at that person. And I think that's what's beautiful about this as well, is that it just gives us more opportunity, to really get to the points of depth that we would may not have otherwise. And that's what's phenomenal. And then, being able to bring the amount of diversity, um, of all these different communities. And it's not just color of skin or religion. It's just geographic areas, and different ideas and different schooling, and different even local customs that I'm getting to learn, such things that I would have never had access to that, even 3 years ago. And I think that's been a joy for you as well, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? How many hours do we have?
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I was in basically 3 countries, 4 countries today. Yeah, that I could have, I guess, before, and I did to a large degree, but the versatility of where I'm able to go, and you're right, it's learning about those cultures. It's learning the really fun things that transporting yesterday, you'll love this, and I'll have to tell the world because it is so funny. They didn't think it was really funny, but I thought it was hilarious. Was the fact that they were creating a library for children, and the way they were getting it there was a camel.
Oh, wow.
That was Pakistan. My husband said, "What the?" And I said, "Look, that's creative.
Th- th-
That is really creative." I
I
mean,
mean,
it's learning about other cultures. I mean, who'd have thought they just bring their camel and bring the books and whatever. My tablet that I'm going to be giving them, I mean, we'll just carry it on a camel.
and you gave me goosebumps there, because I think that there's sometimes there's a certain sense of shelter, we may have in the United States, and we hear the great links of how people get together or communicate, or how they're educated, or how they speak to those around them for a cause or a movement. And then all of a sudden you start thinking to yourself, what, maybe that's the day you get up and say, what, I'm living here in, Phoenix, Arizona, or Dallas, Texas, or Miami, Florida, and maybe we wake up with a little bit more appreciation with what we have in our life. And I think I see a lot more gratefulness, and not all people, but many people, and you might have seen the same.
Yeah. Yeah. When you realize the hardships that are going on elsewhere, it does make you more aware, which is pretty much what I'm all about is the excitement of awareness is to be able to just yeah, I can't tell you how many times in the last week that's come up that people are aware of the simplest things that are not common in other countries. It
You know,
really makes you wake up.
one of the gentlemen that works for us, he's in India, and he's a first time father. He just his newborn turned a year old. He's worked with us for over 3 years, Jackie, and we sent over, because we didn't know what else to do, but we heard
Yeah.
he had a
Yeah.
baby boy, and we sent him some money. And the outpouring of feeling of gratefulness from him and his wife, and showing us, you know, just the joy, you know, in this Zoom that we had, or it was Skype, in the Skype that we had, to see this baby boy and his wife come in there, and I called Sean over and us to be able to talk about that. I mean, it's a priceless feeling. And I think that that's what's so amazing, because what I'm so excited about is on March 31st, we have the Art of Connection Summit coming up. At the last summit, we had over 301 attendees from 20 different countries from around the world, all coming together. And some even stayed up all night, or they got up really early in the morning. They wanted to partake in this event, and we have another one coming up. But what I'm proud to say is, our second panel, because we have four major panels at the event. We have the holistic connections panel, we have the social connections panel, the traditional media panel and the digital marketing panel. And we have you slated to be on our social panel, which would before was human connections, but now we're saying, social connections. And I'm really excited to have you on that panel because, I've seen you in person. I get to see you in Zoom. I get to talk to you. I get to you even know what car you get to drive, right? you know, but I mean, but the reason why I was wanting you to be on the social panels because one of the things that I've always really what endears me to you is you have the ability to look at the human spirit and analyze people in such a way to say, what is their need and how can I help them fill that need? And it goes beyond just the alliances part because the alliances part, I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, but that there's this innate facilitation of helping people gain greatness in who they are. And I think that that's part of the reason why I wanted you on the social panel, to help them discover the power of their voice, in any media that they're on. Tell us a little bit about your passion about just helping people whether it's the person next door or the person 12 time zones away. What fills you up, what instills you with that love and joy?
Well, I don't really know what really started all of that, to be honest with you. Um, I go into a conversation, that's my only goal. When someone tells me no, I am so excited I'm almost off the chair. It's the point that, do you know? Have you met? Are you aware of? And when they say no, rings my chimes. And I just go into the conversation that way. I don't think of anything else. I really don't. And what brings me the biggest delight is when I have two people on a Zoom call with me, and I know over here that this one is brilliant in this area. And I know over here that this one is brilliant in another area very similar to it. And I will literally say, you guys are almost bringing me to tears. And they go, what's the problem? And I said, my problem is I can see what that combined brilliance could bring to our world.
Hmm.
And that excites me that I'm able to literally bring those bodies together. Now, granted, they may not totally understand the brilliance. I have to be able to show them in my words what I envision happening and how you can get there. So I look at the whole picture. It's like a box of a jigsaw puzzle.
Hmm.
And all these people are little pieces in there. I'm the only one that has the cover. So you know what can happen when you put them all to the right piece. And I delight in that that's my whole focus. I don't know what caused that. I really don't know. Maybe it was in the Peace Corps. I had to look at other cultures. I don't know. Maybe I had to be open and not close anything, but just to listen. That probably was what trained me in the first place. I would say that was probably it.
Well, and I can not I have to agree with that. Let's just put it that way because much of what I learned before when I was an athlete, Jackie, before I was in the Marines myself, so Marine Corps, Peace Corps, they're both corps at the end of the day, and corps are really, they're community. Corps are really community with purpose. You can have communities, but and not every community has a purpose. I mean, like a deep sense of movement style purpose. I mean, the Marines, they have a purpose. They have a mission. The Peace Corps does as well. You know, but what I found in life, and I think that this is what you and I see that maybe we didn't see before is when I was an athlete, it was always about winning. To be number one. But the core changed me because what I found was it was all about succeeding. And see, that's how you and I are. We've been rewired a little bit from the winning stance to the succeeding stance because with winning there can be only one. But when you learn what succeeding is you can take everyone around you with you who's willing to go. And I think that that's what it is you see that. But see, for our viewers, there's other things that I've seen, and I only know this because I know you. You know what one of the things that you have championed for a long, long time is you can have the greatest brilliance, but if your brilliance doesn't have the greatest of clarity, people won't have the desire to have access to you and who you
Absolutely.
are and what you do. And that's on a LinkedIn profile, that's on a website, that's how you stand up in front of an audience, that's how you write a page in a book. But if you don't have clarity in your greatness and how you gift that to others, you can fall flat, can't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I learned that early on. I was a very colorful, flowering writer from Girl Scouts through sorority, as everybody couldn't believe all the things I put down. You knew everything that was happening. I got to my first real job in semiconductor business, and the boss looked at me in marketing and he says, "No." I said, "What do you mean, no? I put all the descriptions of what you wanted in there." And he says, "Nobody's going to pay attention to it. Take all that out. Clearly, concisely tell them what they need to know." And that changed my life. It literally changed my life. So I try to be as succinct and as bottom line, down to the cut, to the literal what it is I'm trying to say when I speak, when I write. What is it? You don't want to hear all about the color. I mean, it's nice in a story, and maybe if you're talking about certain things, but I want to know results. I don't care about all that.
Mhm.
What are you going to give me?
Yeah, I mean and I tell people this, when I was in design, color attracts. It does,
Mhm.
but content sustains. And I think that that's what it's about. It's about that content. At the end of the day, I can attract a client, but if we are mismatched, not in the attraction, but the sustainability of the content that we're offering each other. I call it, is it a good trade? You know, you have sugar, I have salt. I trade you sugar for salt. We both win. But if we both have salt, we might have to really have another discussion on if this particular, you know, you know, collaboration can exist. Because that is something that also happens. And I love that you talk about the no. No is another word that people are afraid of hearing. And to me, I love the no's. I love the yeses because both of those are the sweet sound of liberation. They really are. It's that gray area in the middle that really kind of creates the lack of clarity. I think it's needed to succeed fast. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the no, yeah, the no. I like the no's too because it brings better definition to what is needed. I mean, that makes it a lot clearer. People that waffle around, well, maybe. Or remember when you were talking and I were talking about my article. People will say yes when they mean no. That's another whole topic we go on for an hour and a
Oh,
half, right?
oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
So I
Yes,
put that in my
yes.
article because that's such a break in integrity.
And it's also, in what I also say, it is a vacuum of people's time.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have the ability to have the power of no, I mean, and that's what you truly, your authentic self would say, your holistic authentic self, and you say yes, and you do that and you compound that effect, it doesn't help the person who states it, it doesn't help the people who receive it, and it actually creates a volume of what? You know,
Certain
you know,
falseness for sure. It's not a
falseness for
reality.
sure.
It's not your authentic self at all.
No,
to,
no, and it
to
and it
mask.
slows down the speed of progress. And I
Absolutely.
think that that's been the hardest thing, because when you're a servant and a people pleaser, you know, as I've been, much of my life, um, you know, it's hard to say no to things. And the power of no is beautiful once you understand it, because the power of no really allows you to grow. I mean, it,
And
it really
others to
does.
grow. And
And others
others
to
to
grow
grow.
too.
You let others have the chance of doing what you didn't do, and therefore that they grow. And I love the fact that if you were to say, no, this doesn't work for me, that's how you say no. Would you feel bad about
Absolutely.
somebody that said that? No, not really. I know exactly what you're saying. No, this doesn't work for me. Oh, okay, next. Instead of, no, well, you know, don't go through that. You don't have to go
No,
through that. It's just,
no,
this doesn't work for me. Now,
no.
you could put now if you want, but
Yeah, yeah. And you could put that in, and that's okay as well.
mhm.
I mean, I totally think that's okay as now. So, I want to take a little break. I'm going to play a little bit of commercial, and then I'm going to bring you back on. And, I want to talk a little bit about, LinkedIn a little bit, and the power of it, and the power of discovery, and maybe different elements that make LinkedIn is wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and scroll your banner across here. I want to make sure that
Except the
everyone
telephone
sees that
number's wrong.
it that's 480-706-1557.
No, no,
Oh,
no,
let
no.
me get it right for you, Jackie. Let's see,
708
480.
1557.
There we go. See, we're
708.
there. We're going to bring a little bit more attention to this phone number. So to reach Jackie, it's
Yeah.
480-708-1557, or you can email Jackie at jackiezoccoli88@gmail.com. Jackie is a superstar. She's a master connector. She's a master network builder. She concentrates on alliances. She, you know what, I should even, let's talk a little bit about some of the posts that you serve in our next segment as well, Jackie, because you do so many things. I can't even keep up with you, and I feel like I run at light speed. So, so I'm going to bring you back in the break. Let's talk little bit about LinkedIn. Let's talk about some of your, passions that you have right now, and let's just have a little bit more fun in this next segment with what you have going on.
Thank you.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
All right, I am here with Jackie Zoccoli, Miss Jackie Zoccoli. She is a master connector. She is an alliance guru. I mean, weren't you an ice skater at one time? Did I get
Oh, are
that
you
right?
kidding?
Oh,
No
okay.
way. No, I was the one that did the ballet and tap, and they had me do it one time, and then they said, "Don't come back." And so
Because
I
I
became the PE teacher, is what I was.
okay, I remember there was some backstory like that, and I remember, so I
Yeah,
remembered it
yeah.
right, because I knew there was something out there. It's kind of like me with the professional juggling. We all have some type of old tricks in our thing. So let's get up to speed a little bit. I mean, you have Network Builders Arizona, but you also work with as a global ambassador. You work with a lot of different women's groups. You also run a networking chapter within the Nine Entrepreneur Network. I mean, again, Jackie, you are as busy now as I met you 10 years ago, and your ship is just, I think it's traveling a faster and faster velocity, every time I get with you. So get us up to speed and tell us what's going on in Jackie's world.
Oh, let me see. Let me see. What has evolved? It all is built around creating collaboration and relationships. Everything from the very top to the bottom. My mantra really says everything. I needn't tell you all the things I'm doing. My age justifies my wisdom. My developed clarity teaches the excitement of awareness and ignites the spark of action and change. And that's what I'm all about, except it's become a lot more global and also LinkedIn. When I used to go into people's databases and say, look, the alliances are right here, they'd show me their database and it was in a shoebox. So I said, it's not going to work for me. So I went to LinkedIn and we only had 756 million people to work with. So at that point, I made the idea obvious that you can do intentional networking. Go find the best alliance. And it's grown on its own amazingly. I'm starting also a group from that. My session with me, the LinkedIn Illumination, and I showed them the path to the best alliances step by step. And they come back a month later and, well, they didn't get around to it. And I say, oh, why didn't you get around to it? So we're having a mastermind group for those who didn't get around to it and really want to find that best alliance. So that's my business part. The other part was the global, and I worked with international, still do International Youth Parliament with youth from 16 to 29. And as I spoke to Pakistan, I'll make this fast. I spoke to Pakistan and they said, well, they only needed water and food and all these other things. And I put the phone down and realized that every country needed them. But I didn't know how to take all the people I knew and make that work all over the world. I since have. And Manifesting Global Solutions Group is what I have built out of that underneath the Network Builders Arizona. So I bring a toolbox of the people that can be assisting each of those communities, mostly in education of the youth and education of the women to be able to get them into a career of their own with the people that will help them along the way. So all of this builds from a collaboration of different people in my little toolbox, to which I am in a project now to provide 30,000 tablets filled with a software that's a gamified literacy app, Footsteps to Brilliance. 30,000 tablets interfacing with 150,000 children worldwide in 10 countries. Now, it will definitely, because of collaboration, change our humanity.
Absolutely. And and this crazy thing called COVID in certain ways, Jackie, helped expedite the process of being able to live local and anywhere and be
That's right.
able to do global, because it's given you and I the ability to access communities and people that we never had. And I'm slowing down on this because so much of the time, especially with baby entrepreneurs, and what I mean by that, those who have only been in it for a year or less, you know they want to get out there, they want to spread those wings, but it's all about seeding, it's all about growing relationships, you know and this is what it is again. you know Jackie is not creating, you know, get success quick schemes. This is all no, this is all built upon, the forming of relationships, because no matter what technology you use, I don't care how fast that technology is, it doesn't speed up relationships. Those still take the work, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They have to be nurtured along the way. They have to be constantly stroked, so to speak, to be top of mind. Do I know all of them and work all of them? No. I just
Mhm.
try to put them in some categories in my brain. And when someone's speaking in a Zoom, it just filters right in. It just kind of channels in. And I can find them again by looking the day that we met. Maybe it was on LinkedIn. I can find a variety of them because I certainly don't remember all of them by first name or last name. It's just paying attention and bringing
Mhm.
them all in.
And I think that's something that we talk about as well. Paying attention, being aware, being engaged, being in the moment. I always say this in Zoom, especially when there's a full room of people. My goal in every Zoom, Jackie, is to be the most engaged person in the room. And the reason is because when people survey and they're coming in there and they're looking, when they walk away, they may not remember what I said or what they heard, but the way it's kind of like, Maya Angelou, but the way I engage with them physically is what they'll remember, and that memory is the way that they'll feel about me. And that's the thing about being in the social moment, the social presence that people don't necessarily understand until someone points it out and says, do you want to be this person or do you want to be this person?
Mhm.
And there, and the crazy thing about being in Zoom or Skype or Google Meet is a few inches makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to your presence. It really does. We took so much for granted, just being able to meet somebody in a coffee shop. All you had to do was dress right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not true anymore.
No, no. And hand a business card.
Yeah, and be sure you don't make a mess over yourself while you're eating lunch. You know what I mean?
That's right. No spaghetti that whips.
Exactly.
you know. So let's move on to LinkedIn a little bit. I mean, you and we are both champions of LinkedIn. There's probably what are we at? 750 million. I think you said 726, but you know, LinkedIn's growing by 1,000 each and every day. It's a wonderful panel. It allows you to get, through a lot of barriers that you might have in other, social media tools. I looked at LinkedIn as, something, far better than just social media. It really is connection media. And I know that there's a lot of softwares, there's a lot of AI being used, there's a lot of people on there, and we're starting to get a lot of what I like to call just introductory chatter that we've never seen before. You know, by bots sending out canned messages and trying to get in there. But I also caution people when they're utilizing LinkedIn. You know, it, you know be brilliant by actually before you send it out. I get it. A lot of us use canned introductions, but when you are building alliances, I don't think, Jackie, you and I go out there with the intention of sending something blanket oriented, hoping all this bounces back. When I go out there, I look at their profile, and it's something that you look at and you help them define their profile. I read through their background. I treat their profile like it's their curriculum vitae. And that's something that academica looks at. And I also look at, like, what does their response you know really feel like, in the engagement. And one thing I also do is I also put, maybe a thing or two about them in any reach out that I do. And I do that so they know that I've respected them enough to give them the attention that they probably want to desire as well. But I think that you do that and so much more. Tell us some of the ways that you utilize LinkedIn, and the ways that you really engage with people to get to the point of alliances, and then even to the point of sorting people, so you can go back and keep helping others, especially creating this beautiful place in the world.
Well, I think the biggest problem to me is that the mindset of that everyone you speak to could be a customer. I think that is a huge barrier, and people are limiting themselves in an enormous block. And I can't even imagine going to LinkedIn to look for customers. It doesn't even fade into my brain at all. How could I go and look for a customer there? You can't ask somebody to buy your product on LinkedIn. It doesn't make sense to me. However, when you know the person that works the best with you, the kind of person that brings you referrals, the kind of, maybe it's a realtor, maybe it could be anybody, any kind of person. Once you get that figured out, all you have to do is ask, and LinkedIn will give them to you. they'll be able to give it to you. I can't even tell you how many ways, at least 20 different ways you can find that person. So you're intentionally doing the action. You are the one going to find the best person to work with on your team versus, oh, you want to buy my product? Maybe you can want, I don't want to buy your product. I don't want anything to do with your product. How could you be doing that to me? Whereas, let's collaborate. I see you offer this, this, and this. You know what? I have a tool and a resource where we can collaborate. They're going to pay attention to you. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're telling them, let's work as a team. Well, does that not make more sense? So when you go with that mindset, it's a piece of cake. You got to know who your best referral, who the best person is that's going to bring you a referral. And that's the hardest
Absolutely.
part for me is in my Clarity from Chaos session, we whittle it down. Well, any woman between the age of 50 and 75 that give me a break. I can't
Oh,
put
wow.
in women 50 to 75 in San Jose. Huh? So, no. But when I put it in there, and I do always tell them to put the place, because by the grace of God, if we ever see each other again, why not start in your town instead of across the world? So
Yep.
anyhow, I have them select. That's the first thing, and it is so easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. Then you look and see those people. Just what Robert's saying. If they're not smart enough to put in their profile who they are and where they're going and what their purpose is and what your results are, maybe you don't want to be with them. But you could look at their website. And the point is find out, because commonalities sell.
Yes.
You can't build a relationship without commonalities. And unless you can uncover that for them, you can't collaborate, you can't sell, you can't even communicate. So
No.
you gotta
No.
find the commonalities, and they have it everywhere in LinkedIn.
And I think that, when I go into it, Jackie, I don't look for people who I can work for. I don't look for people that can work for me. What I do is I look for people I can work with.
Yeah.
And that makes it all the that makes all the difference for me. Because, if you really look at LinkedIn in that way, there's this saying that says it levels the playing field. This tool levels the playing field. That tool levels the playing field. This other tool, what levels the playing field is being able to have access to conversations that create the very playing field you can both be on. That's how I look at it. And it's the same way that we're finding with the book, The Art of Connection. People ask me, what's the greatest part of that book? Is it creates a foundation of relatable conversation between everyone that's in there that could be as diverse as can be, but you can read their page, they can read your page, and you can start at the speed of conversation just from that very point. And that's what I think so amazing about that book. Jackie, you are amazing as always. I just want to say, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm going to have your banner go across here with the correct telephone number, and it must be that time because the show's usually over by now. But thank you so much for being on our show. Is there any other ways that people can find you besides the email and the phone number? What are some ways that people can hunt you down, so to speak?
Well, of course, on LinkedIn, plus JACLYNZOCCOLI.com.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, I'm really excited. You're going to be on our Art of Connection social panel at the Art of Connection Summit coming up on March 31st. I'm going to put that up there for just a little bit if I have it. Do I have it? Nope, that's the event. Oh my goodness. I better make a banner for that.
Yeah.
But for a limited time, I did want to remind everyone, if they go to 365 days of inspirational quotes, click on reserve your author page. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., it all goes away. It all goes away. I have a page in there. Jackie, you have a page in there. I mean, talk about opening up your world to a commonality of relatable, heart-centered, entrepreneurs. This is the place to do it, by being a part of the book, by being a part of the artofconnection.com that's coming up. Again, Jackie, thank you so much for being on our show today. You're a blessing, and I love being able to call you my friend.
Thank you. The feeling's mutual. Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate it. One last comment from Gary Spence. Be open to wonder rather than closed by belief.
Everyone, thank you for being on the show with us today. I love having conversations with Miss Jacque Zoccoli. Again, she has been a trusted advisor, partner, collaborator, aligner, any of those words and more for the past decade, and it's always a blessing to have her on the show. Please look out for us at the Art of Connection Summit. You can go to artofconnectionsummit.com for more information. Again, that's artofconnectionsummit.com. Also, I just want to remind everyone, we are here 2:30 to 3:30 Mountain Standard Time weekly, Thursdays, 2:30 to 3:30. Make it a great weekend. Have a great time. See you next week. Thank you, everyone.
You've been watching the iEntrepreneur Show, a production of the iEntrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.